Hi guys, Igor here, and welcome to the Project Cabin set of tutorials. In these, I don't know how many videos I will record, but I'm planning to pretty much model everything you see on this image. This is really a nice concept and perfect for the first direct modeling adventure in Houdini. It's done by Tobias Quinella. I managed to find this nice concept art ArtStation. I will share his link down below into the description, so if you guys are interested to check his work, you can go into the description and find it there. Now, this first video is going to be a bit longer because I will try to explain what I'm doing as much as possible. Unfortunately, with modeling, these videos tend to be very long, especially if you're trying to explain things. So for this first one, it's gonna take a bit longer. We're gonna model this cabin first, and then after that we're gonna pretty much do some blocking around this scene, and then we're gonna start creating all these cool assets. Now, at first you might think this is just basic stuff, blah blah blah. Yeah, in most cases, that's why this is perfect to start to show what Houdini can do, because there are plenty different kind of objects, and it's not everything will be just straightforward. So for some things we're gonna have to do some fancy things, some nice techniques that I managed to find while I was learning Houdini. So without further ado, guys, let's start with modeling, and I hope you really learn something. Now, before I start, I just want to say that I'm using, for my concept art, I'm using the PureRef, which is a very nice app that you can use for your concept or any kind of reference images that you have, because it can stay always in front and so on. Just Google it. Let's not waste time on it. Another alternative, and also I will set it on side so it's not our view. It doesn't disturb us. The other thing that you can use, or let's say alternative, is something called Labs, Capture and Embed. And what this does is basically, once you invoke this tool, which was implemented of course by Labs guys, and then side effects, you can basically screenshot anything on your screen or screens. I have 3 screens, so whatever I found on my right or bottom screen, I can simply just screenshot it like this, and then this image will load in my node network, in this case object network. Then you can change the opacity, and what you can also do, if we create an object, we can actually link this image to the node, and now if I'm moving the node, you can move the image with the node. And to actually edit this image, make sure that this is enabled under Tools, Edit Background Images, or use Ctrl+I on your keyboard. Actually enable this and disable, and you can see here. So yeah, that's kind of an alternative, but I will not use this. That's one. So hopefully that was a nice tip, and we can now finally start modeling. So for the first thing, what I want to do is I will just create a box. And because I have enabled this tool's options to be create in context, my here you can see the node, the geometry node is created, geometry container, and it automatically went inside the node, and we can start working on this geometry immediately. So that's very convenient. If this would be the other way, if I would now create a cube, or maybe some other object, cube, you can see that this tube would be created here, and we would stay on this object level. Nothing would happen. So that's the difference. And also, if I am inside the node, geometry node, and now while this create at object level is enabled. If I now create a cube, I will go out from my geometry container, which was this one, and yeah, I would have to click here to get back, or I would have to press one of the components modes to get back inside. So yeah, so let's repeat all of this. Let's create a box. Oops, first this, create the context. Now let's create a box. Great, we are now in the geometry level, and the next thing I want to do, I want to operate on this box and invoke labs axis align, which will align my epsilon on this plane, on this grid, which I can also do the vice versa. And I can do basically all these for every other axis. In this case, we just need this on epsilon. Great, so the next thing I want to do is I want to invoke my scale tool with E on my keyboard. And now I can scale this box, but because this scale to fit is not enabled and this uniform scale is not disabled, you were seeing this blue outline and nothing was happening. So to see this box actually conforming to this outline, then you need to make sure that scale to fit is enabled and uniform scale then disabled. Now we can scale this. Now you can scale this with these gizmos, or you can use the middle mouse button. If you watched my previous tutorials, you can use middle mouse button and then operate on different axes. Much faster to work with. Now, just because I want to make sure that I'm working on a world scales, what I will do, I will add a Paul as my reference, but I will go out, create new geo node, put Paul here. There is some weird bug because I cannot invoke Paul directly from the viewport. I don't know why. So I will make sure this has an appropriate name, which is Paul reference. Press L, then I sort these geometry nodes nicely. No network. Let's name this cabin. And let's dive inside the cabin again. Now I will press W on my keyboard to enter the ghosted mode or wireframe mode. But now I don't see Paul. What I need to do is press space and epsilon, and now Paul will be visible even if I am in my geometry node of the cabin. So now I can just eyeball it and make sure that all of this makes some sense. And if I look at the image, we can see that it's like a squarish cabin. I'm not gonna spend too much time on trying to nail this perfectly, just for the sake of tutorial. So I think this will be fine, maybe a bit more. And actually, to check how much, okay, I would need to make sure that my cabin is visible. No, I can make it visible. Go inside of the Paul, and then use from side effects labs, use this ruler, and I can check what's the height of Paul. So almost 180, pretty high. Great, another tip for you guys. So if I select my cabin from the viewport, now I can press R3 to go inside of the node cabin geometry container. and we can continue working geometry. The next thing I will do, I will now make section for these windows here, and to do that I'll just extrude this part. Now there are truly plenty of ways I could do this, but because I just want to make sure that things are procedural as much as possible, I'm doing things in certain ways. But you can be clumsy or dirty as much as you want if you don't want to preserve any kind of proceduralism. You really don't have to do it. You can do this in any way you want. It really there are no rules when you do direct modeling dirty as possible, really. But if you want to stay procedural, then there are some rules that you need to follow. Now let's invoke polybevel. Now we obviously don't want these top and bottom edges to be beveled. So while I'm in polybevel node, I will just hold Control left mouse button on these two bevels and making sure that they are on, so deselected. Now I don't like this, so I'll make sure that I go back to my extrude with my page up and page down shortcuts on your keyboard, but I'm using, like I said, if you watch my previous tutorials, I showed you what I'm doing with my mouse. So I'm having these two side buttons, and I'm using those to go over the node stream, and yeah, great. Fortunately, my Houdini crashed because polybevel has a nasty bug when you're using page up and page down, which I already reported. Hopefully this gets fixed, but luckily it doesn't happen too often. So yeah, you record and this stuff happens. But anyway, we managed to recover the scene, which usually when something crashes, then you go under the file, crash recovery, and then open crash file. If you don't find things there, then you can go to your Houdini temp file, and it will always be inside here. Another tip for you. Okay, let's continue now. Because this is Houdini, everything stays procedural even if you have a crash. So again, I guess this would be yet another nice tip for you. So let's extrude this a bit more and then go back to this bevel node. And actually what I can do, I can move this. I don't need it right now. So go back, just eyeball this. I think this will be okay. Now I have too much extrudes back, because there is no really too much depth. And okay, let's go to the last node with my home and end shortcuts, which is horizontal scroll on my mouse. And now I will go into the select mode and select this polygon, and I will just press E to invoke this edit node. And what I will do, I will say Control Windows depth, and also here I will say Control. Now this is something that you don't really have to do, but I'll do it just to show you something cool at the end. Control, let's say this is Windows root. Then this is Control Window. Now when you are creating these nodes, you can think about them as being some kind of controls. What I mean by that is that, because this is procedural, and you can see that I can go up and down and things staying procedural, even though we are adding so many other nodes. So for some reason now this node disappeared. I don't know what I did. Probably something wrong. Control Windows. Next thing is I wanna add another box, and I wanna put it on this point here. And now, because my tool options set back to default, I need back box again, put it here. Now you can see that the network is not connected anymore, and that's fine, because what Houdini does with the when you add something else, like the other object, like cubes, like boxes or spheres, it appends it beside the node, and making sure that the last node of the first network is set to selectable flag, which is usually W in your node network. If I use it for clicking on the node, you can see that is now visible. If I'm using E, which is template, then you're getting something else. So with the template, this geometry is not anymore selectable, so just ghost it. We need this to be selectable, because now we can operate on it, which will be very useful later. But let's get back to this cube, and let's make it bigger, something like this, and then just manually move it around, trying to make this cut here. And for that I will use Boolean. So let's say this is fine. So now let's go into my polygon mode, select these polygons, and then invoke Boolean. And now Boolean, this first selection is set to be a set A, and then here you can read that now we need set B, which means that because Boolean is automatically set to subtraction, it will mean that A will be subtracted from B, and then we are getting something like that. Neat. And to actually remove this inside polygons, we just need to make sure that set A is treated as a surface. Now we don't have to add a blast node to delete this part, and we can save some steps. Great. The next thing I want to do is let's remove Paul for a bit. I don't need him anymore. Thanks, Paul, for helping me out. What you need to do is press space bar and then epsilon on your keyboard. Remove anything outside of this network. In our case, it was Paul, so yeah. Okay, the next move, it will be, again, let's go to selection mode with S, and then let's select this polygon. Let's convert it with Control Shift number 2 in my case. Remember, I changed my default shortcuts. Means 1, 2, 3 are my point, edge, and polygon mode, component mode, and then number 4 is actually my object select mode. Just so you're aware. Just be aware. And then what I want to do is actually I want to cut this top, middle, and bottom part apart, so that I have like a ceiling, and then these walls, and then the floor. Okay. Make sure when you're executing or invoking edge cusp to enable cut boundary points, and then this top part will be disconnected from the middle part. Also, we can delete it when we need it. Let's do the same for the bottom. So select polygon, Control Shift 2 to convert selection edges, and then just edge cusp, and didn't do anything, right? Okay, repeat. Means Okay. Cut. Edge cusp. Cut. Actually, I don't know why I did it. I would be able to do this in one shot. So yeah, my bad. Now here we can see that parts separate, which is perfect. So I'm always trying to manage my node network as much as possible. So if I can skip few steps, why not? Okay, now that we have all parts ready, what I will do is I will now make sure to create windows, these parts, and I will select these 3 polygons. Actually, I need to go in my select mode and then polygon. By the way, you can recognize in which mode you are by looking here or looking at your mouse pointer. So if I'm in camera mode, you will see this hand. If I'm in selection mode, you will see this white mouse pointer. And if I'm like in any other mode, usually you get the black mouse pointer. Selection mode, select polygons. Poly extrude inner. For this, I'm using the middle mouse scroll button. I don't need. Fine, and then I need to make sure that I'm using individual elements. Then with F, I'm invoking basically this toggle front transform for this mode here, which gives me these gizmos, and now I can actually control the extrusion with transform tools. But I think these windows are a bit too big, or not really that same. So what I can do is I can go back my bevel, just adjust this bit, and this now looks much better. And just jump down, fully extrude. Cool. Let's go into select mode, and now what I will do, select everything. Let's invoke edge loop, and I will make a cut here for the 4th window and enable edge percentage, and that will make sure that I'm basically sliding this cut between these 2 edges, which is very nice. Now another cool thing that I can do, instead of selecting extruding again, I can select this extrude, alt left mouse button, drag, release to copy. Let's connect this one here, and let's make sure that this group is set here. Now I have created basically the copy of these windows, but I need to make sure that this translate is not minus, actually plus. And now, voila, look at this. Huh? How cool is that? That's so cool. Now, if for some reason I didn't really manage to get these same, I can go to my poly split with my page up and adjust this. And I think that is perfect. Awesome. Now I will go to the end shortcut, like these. And I will actually, what I will do here, because now I have few ways to do these windows. So I can leave these these to be a glass. Okay, I'll do glass a bit differently. I'll just delete these windows with Alt and this icon, which is called back quote. Yeah, I managed to find it on internet. So okay, after that, again, let's go to polygon mode. If you're not in polygon mode, press N, and now let's extrude everything or as much as you like or see fit. For me, I think this is fine. Let's make sure that our output back is enabled. By the way, all these lines are bug, which I also reported. Hopefully it gets fixed because this is kind of annoying. So yeah, hopefully it gets cool. Let's continue. The next thing I want to do, because now I have a problem here, so I just need to make sure to select all of these like that. And this time, actually, what I will do this separately. So I will poly extrude this part. But to be honest, oops, we don't need this. So what I can do, I can restart selection with my control and back quote. And now we are in this reselection mode. You can see here. And also you can still see that we are in actual poly extrude. So basically we are now again choosing a group to extrude. And we will deselect like we would usually do it with Control Left mouse button and then press Enter, and now we are only extruding this outside part. And here I will also extrude, or I can use peak node, this, and adjust it as much as I again need it. But this obviously doesn't work as I would expect, so I'll just press undo, select again, and then with Q invoke extrude again, just extrude. And I think that's fine. Now all this shading we will resolve later. Okay, let's jump to the next thing, and now let's create windows. So I will select these inside polygons with Shift A on your keyboard and then middle mouse button to actually select a loop. Very convenient. And now I will go under the modify and duplicate all these beautiful polygons, and I will invoke extrude next. Now I will create the frame for windows and make sure that we have out back, so that also the back of this extrusion is closed. Now let's make sure also that we are invoking the side group of this extrusion, which means that now I can press Q to invoke this poly extrude, not this, but the new poly extrude. And instead of operating on these polygons, they're basically these numbers here. See? So every polygon, every primitive here has its numbers. And whenever you invoke any kind of tool on these primitives, they are basically set a group. So this is one of the main concepts in Houdini, the groups. It's very powerful. So instead of using these automatic numbers, I will use the group that I set it from here, which was basically when I made an extrude, the side polygons. Houdini knows that those are side extrusions, and I can invoke this side group, which then can be transferred to this polygon, and be used as a group here. And then basically I can then extrude those sides, which is super, super useful. Great. So now the glass. Now, glass can be done in so many ways right now. But because this is direct modeling, I'll do this a bit differently. So I'll go to my edges, edge loop, and just add edges here. Make sure that I enable edge percentage because that throws this on in the middle immediately. So again, then Q, enable Q, invoke edge split, and then again enable this, invoke tool, enable percentage, and pretty much that's it. Let's remove these numbers, we don't need them. Now, conveniently, when you make this cut, Houdini remembers the selection, and then you can now do bevel or anything on it, and it will be basically you can do with this edge whatever you want. But we're gonna select all other edges, and now we're gonna invoke the bevel, and this will be basically our width or thickness of our glass. Now the next thing I will do, because when you also bevel things, Houdini also remembers edges as a selection, so we need to go under the edge mode and then Control Shift number 3 in my case, and select and convert to polygons. And now, because I don't want these side polygons, I just press S and Shift and S to shrink selection. And now I'm duplicating these polygons. Great. And now I will invoke, the group create. And as you can see, automatically, because I had selection, Houdini automatically see that reflection as something as I chosen to be a group. But in this case, we don't want this. So let's disable a base group and enable include by edges, and then enable this unshare edges, which basically selects all the, well, unshare edges, the boundaries that are not closed, if I could say it like that. So, and now what we can do with this selection is go under the polygons and then invoke polyfill, and we now closed this geometry. And with reverse patch we can also set our normals into the right direction, and glass is created. Now, because this glass now has control, what I can do is the control glass. Let me just see. Okay, yeah, have these two. Cool. So now that we have created the glass, we can move forward. So the next thing I want to create is, I think, let's go with this part here. So what I will do, I will select these polygons and I will invoke the knife tool, because knife tool is very powerful. There is one bug that I don't like, but fine. And now what we're gonna do, we don't care in which position is it. Is it right now? Because we can, this is Houdini, we can move it later. So now let's invoke bevel. And if we don't like the position, we can always go up and just move it and now we also see the bevel, so you go back, but definitely more toward the end here. Okay, that looks good. Again, let's select this. Let's invoke another knife. Here. To make this knife cut straight, you actually need to first hold Control and then you drag the mouse. So now that we created this part, we will delete this part with Alt my back quote. Select one edge here and then just run polyfill. And in this case, now it doesn't work. Okay, this will work. Actually, let me just this and that. Is there position? Well, it will actually work. I wonder. Let's see. No, no, no. Okay, it works here, but there are missing edges, so I need to fix those. And now it works. And now I can again go up and move it down, something like this. And for my horizontal scroll and go to edge mode, select these two edges, run poly bevel, again as you see fit, and make sure that these are not n-gons. I can then select them. And what you could actually do is, if you're in selection mode, press right mouse button, and then under the select n-side polygons, you can actually select all the n-gons that we have right now, which in this case we don't want, so it's easier to do this. And then under the modify divide, we get this, so we don't have to manually connect, which is very convenient. Okay, nice. Now let's go and fix, actually no, let me finish these doors. So select this, let's duplicate, let's use peak to just move this. What peak does is basically it's moving your geometry depending on your normal direction. So because Houdini is so flexible and modular, I think that's the right word, it gives you ability to actually alter these normals in any direction you want. So you can basically change the direction of normals at any time, any point, at any point, and then invoke a tool like peak and use it to your advantage, and then just bring back normals to be as they would usually be for rendering. Because if they are messed, then your rendering will not work. So it's really powerful concept, and one of the important things to actually learn when we're dealing with. So in this case, I will do poly bridge. So we need to select one edge and then the destination. Press enter, and now we have it. Now in this case, you just need one edge on any hole, and then polygon, polyfill. And in this case, grid should work perfectly, so we don't have to do anything. And our normals are inverted, so we can just select this mesh and then inside the model shelf, find this reverse node, invoke it, and voila, we have this door part ready. Okay, let's now finish all this mess. So I'll just invoke my poly split. For this, I will use another method. Yeah. And I have an issue here too. So I can connect it here, or I can use divide, or I can use knife. Just for the sake of this tutorial, let's see what will divide do. I mean, I think this is acceptable for this type of model, but let's try to be clean as possible. So what I will do, I will again select this and invoke knife, and from this view I will enable point snapping, and then I will make a cut from this point to this point. And now I'm making sure that this is cutting all through this edge or point. And then I will just convert this selection mode, convert everything, and then let's just use. And now we are making sure that these points are connected. But for this mess, I can use the point weld. Or I could also use a fuse. I'll try this. I'll try fuse on the other side, just to show you different techniques how this could be done. Fuse is basically an optimize from Cinema, in case someone is wondering. Okay, so now if I go into my point mode and I select this type of selection, bit not visible enough. Also, let me enable this select visible geometry only. You can also use Shift P to make sure that I'm not selecting anything on the other side. And now if I invoke, I want to have everything in my view. So now if I invoke fuse, nothing will happen. But if I start to drag this thing around, you can see that we are now using the points. But the problem is, here I think it was fine, nothing has changed. I think here also looks okay. Yeah. So in the end, it fused it here first, then here, which made this edge move a bit, but then at the end here it just went back. So I think that's fine. Yeah, that seems fine. Now I forgot about this one, so I can reselect everything. Select these two with Shift, left mouse button, press Enter, and then I have this. Cool. Even though it's not perfect, yeah, it doesn't matter. Just show you the flexibility. Now you can even change this, how this snaps. So we can check different methods. So this median seems like to be the best, is to me. So yeah, this here you can change the method how this is happening. But you saw the two ways, so I think that's great. Let's check now. So selection mode, let's right mouse button, select triangles. Okay, we have one triangle here, so let's fix it with point weld. See if I have my, yeah, actually. Here I'm just making sure that whenever I have selected edges or points that are shown here, please the number of selected points or edges or polygons. That's very convenient to have enabled. Okay, let's see. Test. Selection mode, quads, everything is quad pretty much. Except this one. Okay, I'll need to fix that. Now that we select, okay, I need to fix the part. Let's see. Let me just try it. F5 for laser selection, double click. When we are in selection mode, we have this toolbox options, and we can hide select primitive. And now I will hide this one too. Now let's fix it. What I will do, will select these, invoke knife, and this edge. Box selection. Okay. Didn't cut from down below, so that's fine. Now we can double click, poly bevel, and then there, what I will do, I will just fuse these points, and this should be all right now. So if I go in selection mode, select n-gons, 5 sides. Okay, we can find it here. Just weld, poly split. Show only selected, so I can easily do this. Nice. Okay, that should be it now. Now again, to show everything, go to selection mode with S, and then under the visibility, show all primitive. Let's see now. Yeah, this floor, but I think this floor could be done with a modify or divide. Okay, no, just top and bottom. Divide, and I can then delete this. And for this one, let's try to flip it. Okay, this will not work. And what I'm doing here is I'm just pressing S twice, and I'm flipping very fast. And you can see that the edge flips are stacking like crazy. So I'm gonna delete that, and I'm going to also dissolve edge. And then in selection, show only selected primitives, only split. That's it. I think we are good now. Okay, and the last thing I will do, I will just bevel everything. And to do this, let's just select any edge, and invoke group create, and then enable this, include by edges, min edge angle, put it to like around 86. Because now Houdini is selecting only the edges that are close to 89 degrees. So you want to make sure that those edges are selected and in the end beveled. Do this. Yeah, I think that's. What's the error? Skipping just. I have no idea what's going on here. But also one thing to note, so this is now, we created a group here, okay? We created a group. But if I invoke the bevel or any other tool from the viewport here, you can see that we are actually invoking bevel on these set of edges and not the actual group 1 or group 2, is this one, which is convenient, and you're basically using a group as a tool for you to help you out with beveling. Very convenient. And unfortunately, I really don't know why I'm having these errors. What happens if my group? Same thing, of course. I really don't know what's happening. Keeping edges with non-manifold at point. This. Okay, I have no idea what's happening. So before this, I'll make sure that I go to point mode, select everything with N, and then use. And hopefully that because it will connect everything, but let me just test now. Not all. Knife. Still the same error. Okay, we're not gonna fuse anything. Okay, let's see if that makes any other problems. Let me first here I'll just add normal to fix these shading issues. Okay, now things look much better. Let's select one edge, group create, disable base group, enable tool by edges. Let's put 88. Let's poke bevel. Now the normals changed again, so I can move the normal here and voila. That's it. And now for the bonus. I just wrote Kevin. That's just something people do. Also, this node will make sure that you're outside of this geometry. Note that your displayed or rendered node is always this one. So it can happen that you have display tag on any of other nodes, and if you go out, then you need to go back and then make sure that the last node is always, of course, if you want the last node to be displayed a render, then you use output instead of null node. So guys, what else we can do is, okay, I'll delete this. Let's make groups from this just quickly. So what I will do here is I will go into my select mode and then make sure that I have this 3D connected geometry enabled. Now click on the group or closed or separate mesh, and then Houdini selection will automatically recognize which geometry is one as one part. So let's start with the floor. Select everything in geometry node, not geometry node, but polygon mode. Go under group create, rename it here as floor. Select this one, press Q again, walls. Let's select these. Press Q, say glass. Select on these. Press Q and say frames. Also make sure that you put this symbol here when you are renaming your group names from here, because group cannot be set with backspace, with empty space. So have that in mind. And then let's ceiling, may press Q and then ceiling. I don't know how it's pronounced, but please. And then I think this state, and then I don't know, door cut. Now we have groups. What I will do, I will make sure that I delete everything above. So group delete, just because I don't want as this node to let Houdini recognize any other group. So I just want these groups for my materials. I'll make sure that every other group that's created above this node is deleted, because now we only have these 6 primitive groups. And if I want, I can go to the node network, just recolor it so that I know they're there. And now what I can do, if I go into the selection mode and then I say this geometry groups, now Houdini will actually know which groups are what geometry are under the group, under the certain group. So it's very easy then to set materials, which I will show you now. So let's select this group here, which is floor. So you can see also here that it says highlights floor. So now what I can do, I can go here and say materials, press enter. Now this group floor is set automatically to this material, and then if I want to rename this material, I can double click on this group name and then just drag and drop here, and that's it. Let's go back, click on this Q, rename, click on this group, rename, this group, Q, name, and then what else? We have 6 groups. So these 2, which are Windows frames, but 1, 3, 5, I think the last one. And that's it. We just created groups and materials for each group, and we can also recolor it. And I think that would be it. Now we can add our output node, call it out cabin. The reason why I'm making this as a all uppercases is because our geometry tree, which is fifth W, sorry, it should be always on the top. Some weird, I don't know why, but it's not. Usually the uppercase are on the top, and I can't even see the node. Okay, anyway, doesn't matter. Have that in mind. Should be there. I don't know what happened. Maybe I did some mistake. I don't know. But anyway, maybe I could also show you guys how would you apply materials. So okay, let's go to materials quickly and let's create standard material X, and let's make it smaller, and let's create 6 of these. Alt left mouse button drag. Now let's go into our selection mode again. Now from here, right mouse button, so make sure that you are in geometry groups mode. Even though it doesn't say here, you can see that this is enabled. Now we have all these names, so while typing, when we can just hover over the text, copy group name, double click, copy paste, or sorry, just paste, and that's it. Let's repeat, double click, Control V, right mouse button, copy, double click, paste, right mouse button, copy, double click, paste, and not repeat myself. More of these. And then let's go back with this. And now from here, I can, this is what, floor. This is very convenient because now you know that the names are matching. And now with my page up and page down shortcuts, I can quickly change between these materials, class, ceiling, and Windows frames, door cut. That's it. And that's it, guys. Maybe I can even show you now how would you do this? How would you put this into Solaris? Just quickly. So let's change the layout to Solaris. Now Solaris, you should already know. If you don't, for those who are not Houdini guys, Solaris is a USD Hydra delegate, or basically dedicated layout that only works with USD. So to bring our scene here, what side effects included in Houdini release 19 is this nice node, which basically took everything from our object network and put it in here. And now all our materials and geometry is here, and we can start basically rendering. Can hide this. Let's add camera. Let's add environment light. Let's add, I don't know. Let's remove the background, and let's hit save. Let's go to Karma, and that's it. I'm using just CPU, but if I enable Karma XPU. You're gonna get all these nice errors, but yeah, no one cares, it still works. And now if I go, let me disable these gizmos. Now if I go into my materials, let's say, I don't know, maybe I want to change this color. Commune the wheel. Maybe change specular or use this. Not color change, but not the second time. Let's see if I restart. Does not update. What did I do? Ah, okay, I changed color in the wrong section. So my specular should be white. My base could. And specular again. Whatever. So this is XPU, works both on CPU and GPU and super fast for testing. It's still alpha, so that's why all these errors. And then let's maybe change glass just quickly. And let's make sure that the base is there, and then IR. See how it's fast. I mean, you can add, you can now go back to flops, add, I don't know, distant light, change the color, temperature, drag and drop camera, and there we go. Go back to materials. Floor. Yeah. So guys, oh man, there is so much I can talk about. But before I leave, let me just, this is off. Let's go back. I just want to show you quickly a few more things. Now, if you remember, I was writing down some control names, and why I did this, because now I can actually isolate those names, and I can first do this. Just bypass everything. Let's go back 50 to check this list view. Here you can do everything you can do with here, like these flags. But what you can also do, you can isolate the names of your nodes, and then from here you can start invoking your tools. And now we can change. We can play with our controls. That's why I changed those names to be control. And as you can see, everything stays procedural. And now you remember I said this edit node for no obvious reason. Well, the reason is this. Reason is that now I can change the depth of this window without any repercussions. Only thing that I need to fix is this now fading, which is very easy. And also I can change this glass depth with the distance. Is also very convenient. So yeah, guys, if this does not convince you that Houdini is more than capable of direct modeling, and on top of that it adds even how would I say, a bit more flexibility than you're used to, then I think nothing will change your opinion what Houdini can do. And what I can also do here, if I go back onto which node? This node, I can also, oh come on, not edit, invoke match size. I can also change. Now this obviously doesn't work that good because we are losing, we are overwriting, I guess, some of the nodes, but still here there are some things that we can alter even here. So yeah, guys, I think now this is it. For this tutorial, I think I don't have anything to show you anymore. I will just fix the normals here before I go. That. Set these to roll normals so that I can isolate those. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this tutorial, guys. And yeah, I can also move this window here, but yeah, anyway, guys, hopefully you learned something. Hopefully I managed to prove you that there is potential. There is a lot more things that we will go over, a lot more to model. So guys, hopefully you stay tuned. Sorry for this bit longer video, but as you can see, there is so much to show. I mean, how can I make this video shorter than this without explaining things? I don't know. I'll do my best for the future tutorials to be shorter, but for this one, yeah, I just want to prove a point and prove that this thing can be very satisfying to work with. So guys, without further ado, please stay safe and see you in the next video. Bye bye.